Hello everyone, welcome back to SAP UI5 and Fiori training. In the last episode, we have spoken about manifest.json file. In today's session, we will go ahead and discuss more detail about the manifest.json file. Together with that, we will look into the most important concept on SAP UI5 called router. So let's get started with today's class. What exactly is manifest.json? I will again repeat a little bit of that part and I will then show you the concept for routing and router. So before we start, just a quick update. Yesterday I was mentioning about a video on comparison between Web IDE and Eclipse, which you can showcase in your company to convince your manager about usage of Web IDE and purchase of a license of SAP Web IDE rather than making use of Eclipse development environment. And here we are. I have already recorded a video on YouTube channel and it's available for all of you to access now. You can go to my YouTube channel or you can also directly go to my website onlinefiorytrainings.com, and all my Anubhav learning series videos are already available here exclusively for all of you. You can also download the source code of all these content, including the PPT and study material for my Anubhav learning series free of cost from my website directly. But yet again, remember, the prerequisite to go ahead with this video is my training, because after you complete the training you will have a fair idea about all the aspects, all the important things which you really need to know. So you can come to this Anubhav learning series, and now here you see the video for SAP Web IDE or Eclipse, what to use, how to decide. So this is something which is kept here, and the PPT for this is also available for download directly. You can click on this and it will take you to the drive where you can download the version 2 of my Fiori app, including the Web IDE versus Eclipse PPT, which you can demo it to anyone whenever you like. Another interesting thing, subsequent video of this, I will show you Fiori security concept along with SAP Fiori Launchpad integration of our end-to-end application. So many times his student says, Anubhav, we don't want your next course, but we just want to see how do you deploy your custom Fiori application to Launchpad. Only that part, Anubhav, we want to see. So that's the reason I will give you a video on that part. So no problem, you don't want my course, completely fine. You want to go deep into it, probably go for the course. If you don't want to go deep into it, want to create a very simple Fiori tile on side of a Fiori Launchpad, you can simply go ahead and make use of my video. So the next subsequent video would be available by end of this week or early next week, with SAP Fiori Launchpad integration. Okay, moving back to the session. So as we had discussed, SAP Fiori has something called a manifest.json file, which includes all the settings required to drive the project functionality. And then we link the component.js with manifest.json file. Our new app structure looks like something of this sort, where you have either the access via the launchpad or via the index.html for local testing, and then you will launch component container, and component container encapsulates the component.js. Component.js then makes a call to manifest.json to read all the properties out. You have an app.view as a launching point, and this app.view has a split app control. If you remember, yesterday we gave a name to this called Ironman. That's the name we have assigned to it. Then you have aggregation, master pages and detail pages, and then inside of this you have embedded your object of the views by far. Then what we did in the next step, we looked at what is manifest.json. Manifest.json is a JSON file which is actually given to the component.js as an input. In declarative way, it includes all the project settings. So there are three major sections of manifest.json file. The first is sap.app section. Sap.app section includes all the information about your Fiori application version and details, like what will be the version of SAP Fiori application you are deploying on, what will be the version of JSON. Together with that, you will also have to specify the directory of I18N. Okay, Then you will also specify the title of the application, title and description of the application. All that is part of your SAP app section. The most important part which we also did not cover yesterday was this also includes something called data source. Okay, that's what exactly a manifest.json includes, data source. Then coming to the next section, SAP UI section, this includes more properties relevant for dependencies on SAP UI5. That's what it includes, dependencies on SAP UI5, like dependencies on library, dependency on themes, dependency on devices, all that it includes inside of this section. Then comes is the last section, my favorite. This section includes the most of the important parts of your UI5 application, including the most important thing called router configuration. So router configuration is mainly an main aspect of your application navigation. So this includes the routing and configuration, the starting view details. This also includes the most important factor called models. As I told you that we can also create models directly without writing code of the models. We can quickly create them right inside of this. Yeah. So this is what exactly it includes. It includes dependency on UI5 library. Actually, this dependency here is not created. It's created over here. On top, you just create dependency on themes, supported devices, what support it has for the application. So these are all the things which you have it inside of manifest.json. So rather now using the JSON editor, manifest.json editor, which we did use yesterday to create it, I will go ahead and write this whole of JSON manually so that we can again quickly understand the different aspects of our application. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll directly go to jsonlint.com because this is an important concept and I need to spend probably some little more time so that you can understand it better. So the first starting point is curly braces for the JSON, and you all know that we can validate the JSON any point of time. And now inside of this JSON we will start with very first thing called version information, and then I'll say 1.6.0, it's the latest version. And I just come down and I'll say sap.app. I think this version is manifest version itself, guys, which we could not see yesterday in the documentation as well. I think it's a manifest version. Then comes his three sections, sap.app section. Then you have sap.ui section. And then you finally have sap.ui5 section. There are these three sections which you have it available inside of it. Now, next part, let's start with SAP app section. So it has a couple of properties. First property is the ID of your application. Typically, this is kept as a namespace. So our namespace is Fiori for our application. So I put ID as Fiori. Then comes is the type of the application. What type of application it is? Is it an application or a plugin or a complex Fiori app? So that's what you will put here, application. The next property comes is the i89 directory, where all your i89 files are residing, in which directory. So typically we put in i89 directory and then i18n dot properties. This is the main uh, launching folder in the file for i18n. Then you will put the property related to the title of your application. So let me just put double curly braces because it's a binding with i18n. That's the reason double curly braces. And inside of this you can say app title. And let me just go back to our Fiori application inside of Web IDE. And here we are. Maybe I'll just quickly go to the my first Fiori app, and you can see here we created a folder i18n and i18n.properties, and I have mentioned here the title. So now this title is what I am going to put it inside of my manifest.json. So let's come here and put it over here. Then comes is the description. Okay, and description also I have defined it here, over here. Let's put that over here. Very nice. So all of this is done. The next part to that, we have something called application version itself, guys. So application version, whenever you are making some change and want to track how many changes have been done by far in this application since the major release, that's something you keep it in the application version. Let's, for example, in your team there was a colleague working in this application who have built this application for about 2 years, and when he was working in this, how many total number of changes, patching with bug fixes and new features he has done, that's what you can see it here with the application version. However, when you are also doing development, you need to make sure that you always change this version according to the changes which you are making inside of your application. Now this is very helpful property for somebody to look at and find out how many total number of changes this application has gone through and how many releases it has gone through. Very important information. So let's put the version here and just put it, let's say my first version it is, so I'm just putting 1.0.0. Now watch here, what are all these 0.0 means? The one here indicates it's the release. Okay, this one indicates the release, guys. Major release. What is the major release? Lots of new functionality is what is release indicates. Then this particular zero indicates the support pack of the application. What is a support pack? When let's say you worked on some bug, you fixed it, then your developer who is working in your team also did one bug fix, and then third person also did one bug fix, fourth person also did one bug fix. All of these bug fixes together becomes a support pack. Okay, so that's a support pack which includes all the bug fixes plus some minor features. Okay, minor feature changes, that becomes a support pack. And then this one indicates the patch. Patch means if you just did one small change, then that's a patch, that's a small change which indicates this particular zero. So any bug fix or any small change which you do is this patching. Okay, any group of changes which you are releasing together, all of you developers, that's a support pack. And any new release which has all the bug fixes of previous support packs plus couple of amazing new features completely is a new release. So that's how this version 1.0.0 has been built. Hope it's clear today to all of you. I was not happy with the class yesterday. I was not so convinced that whether it's really brought in the messages to you or not. However, that's the reason I thought of going with Jason Lint and showcasing every single property like this. Then comes is the data sources, very important property. Here is where you are going to assign your OData services. So right now we didn't discuss what is an OData service, so don't panic, just put here some OData service name. So maybe I just come here and then you have to put a name here. You can put Spiderman and then you can say curly braces. So let's say if I'm going to create an OData service later on to talk to my SAP backend system, that details of that OData service is going to come here. The first property comes is the URI. URI is nothing but the path of the OData service. So here goes your service URL that you have to put it here in this section. Then comes is the type. Of course, it's an OData. Then comes is the settings. And then inside of this settings you have to put the version of OData which you're using. OData latest version in the market is 4.0, but in majority of the Fiori apps we are till now using 2.0. Then we have also something called local URI. If you want to implement a mock server, then you can do that, local service slash metadata .xml. So for local mock data implementation, this is the local URI which we typically use. So that's about your data source part. That completes my section number first, where I have the service details, the application details, I18 and path, type of application and application version. Hope it's clear to all of you. There are a couple of questions. Let me read them. Where can we find the properties which are available to be used in respective sections of manifest JSON? I tried SDK but could not find it. No problem. Let's go ahead and see that. So maybe rather than SDK, if you're not able to find, directly search on Google manifest JSON in SAP UI5, and you will see a lot of blogs, a lot of tutorials. However, I would love this descriptor of application component in library cloud. I click on this. Yesterday I also show you this help documentation where also some nice details are mentioned for this. However, you can just go and check this. So you see descriptor for application open UI5 HANA on demand.com, and now you see the details: ID, type, ID10, application version, embeds, tags, architecture type, data sources, CDS view, offline, source template, open source components, cross navigation. You see everything is kept. You see the namespace on the top, SAP UI namespace. You see the namespace on the top, sap.app namespace. Yeah, you can come down further. You can see this one, SAP UI5 namespace. So let me put this link into the PPT. Yeah, and let me put the another one also. Here also this is helpful. You can get the information. So usually people come and ask me, Anubhav, will you give me documents? Guys, if I give you documents, you will be outdated in some time. Okay, so don't expect Anubhav to give you documentation. Try to find the root source from where the documentation is being taken, because always the documentation on internet like help.sap.com, it's always up to date, guys. It's always up to date. So always refer up to date information rather than obsolete information. Very important for all of you, those who are seeking for PDF and Word documents. Guys, you're going wrong direction. Things may change, things may not work if you refer to an obsolete old documents which somebody shared with you. Okay, now coming application version, how can we go to retrieve the previous version of UI5 app if we want? So for that you need repository. So that's the reason we have Eclipse in Eclipse, sorry, we have Git repository coming into the picture. So please watch my video where I have also explained about how Git repository works, the distributed environment in Anubhav learning series. That's, I was expecting this question, and that's the reason I've recorded this video already inside of my Anubhav learning series. It's my first video. Here you learn how to really get into a real project working with GitHub, Git repository, to be able to check in the files, working with multiple developers. You can't here and there email your changes to your code developer. And then what if there is a mistake, there's something not right? How do you roll back to the previous version, right? All these things comes into your mind, and of course all these questions are answered already for you inside my learning series. That's a great piece of information. You see multiple questions from Matthias, Rahul, Chandra, John. They all have sent me many questions asking these things. How can we go back to previous version if I mess something? How can I roll back my changes? How can I do patching? How can I compare versions? All that is used with the help of Git repository, guys. Okay, look at this video, you will understand the flow. This will be very helpful for version management and tracking. Clear? So everything is there in pipeline. It's just that you need to go ahead and learn about it. Yeah, so I will offer you everything, every single problem. Your problem is my problem. I am here to solve your problem. I am here to make you an expert in UI5. You need to work hard with me. That's a promise I need. Let's test it by now. So do a validate, and you see it's by far so far a valid JSON. Very nice. First section is complete. Moving on to the next section. Now in the next section we will talk about first the technology, which technology I had built it, this manifest. So in future SAP can also introduce new UI technologies, hence that's why they have also put this technology properties over here. Then comes is the icons property. If you want to put some icons of your application, how will it displayed? You can put that over here. So you can put an icon, SAP hyphen icon colon slash slash, let's say home icon I want to put it. So such icons you can put it. How will it look like as an icon when you are running your application inside of a launchpad? Then comes is the device types it supports. and then I will just come and put here the device types, what all three devices my app supports. Desktop, then comes is tablet, and then comes is phone. Okay, it's a boolean property. Now after device type we have support for themes, so I say supported themes, and it's a plural if you observe, so that's why it's an array. So I'll say SAP Blue Crystal and SAP HCB. You might have heard about HCB first time. It's a high contrast theme, black and white theme for color blind people. Okay, for color blind people they offer this theme exclusively, which is for color blind people. They will be able to make use of it to be able to face or feel their application in a black and white mode. Now we are done with the second section as well. Let's do a validate once more time, and I just come down, and by far so far so good. Yes, I'm lucky to have a great manifest.json built. Now this is the main and important section, the third section, which starts with the routing configuration. So root view, first thing you need to put is the root view, which is my view, which is going to be starting view. Now in yesterday's class I told you guys which is your root view always in a typical Fiori app. Which is the root view, starting view of your application? Which is the root view? Perfect answer, Udit. It's app.view.xml. All of you are right. It's the app view, which is the root view. So let's put here view name, and I'm just going to put the Fiori is my path dot view folder, and in that I have an app view. Then the type of this view is XML view. So just put the type here, XML view. And then moving next, we will put here the ID of the view which I want to create and say ID app. I want to give it to it. So that's your root view configuration, which you have to give it in as first section to start your root view automatically. So you don't have to now create object of your view on your own. That will be done completely with the help of router for you, free of cost. You don't never ever need to put and worry about kahan rakhu, where shall I put my view creation code. That's a confusion which comes in our mind always, ki Anubhav, what is the right place to put object creation of my view, kahan rakhu se kahan dalu code ko. Now that confusion is gone. I hope all of you understand now. You don't have to put any code to create your view object. Let the router do it for you, and you don't worry about it. Clear, everyone? And now with this standard, even Udit builds an app, Anubhav can go and check what is his root view. Even Swami builds an app, and Minakshi can go and check what is the root view Swami has created, right? Because we are all combined to a single standard, which is manifest.json. That's the main purpose of manifest.json. Hope am I making sense, guys? Why manifest.json? People will teach you manifest.json. People will tell you, okay, there is a manifest.json file, but they won't tell you why manifest was created. Because to follow standard, so that everybody can understand each other's app. It's an industry standard. I create an app, I give it to you, you can understand it quite easily. Next section comes is dependencies on UI5. What dependencies the UI5 library it is onto. So if I'm using some certain library functionalities which are available with 1.44 only, when you deploy your app, system will do a check that what is the bare minimum library version this application would need. This part is also influence your deployment, and that is something which is also covered in my Anubhav learning series video, which is about to come, launchpad integration. So you will see, I think it's covered in here only. So in this video I will show you, I had shown when you're deploying your app to the SAP system, what exactly this it does. While deployment of your app to the SAP system, guys, you would get a warning. If there is a version mismatch, you would get a warning. And you can see here in this video, I am explaining it that my application is supported on version 1.44. In the server we have 1.44.7. So there is a difference in version. Because of that, it may or may not work. Okay, it may or may not work. So that is something influenced. How system checks this information is from manifest.json. So that's why we put the dependency on UI5 version inside of your manifest.json, guys. So let's come back. Where is, yeah, my web id, where is my JSON? Yeah, it's here. And now I'm just going to put here the mini UI5 version, minimum UI5 version my application needs. And I'd say it needs minimum 1 point, let's say 38 or 1.44 is what I need minimum, guys. Okay, minimum. And then comes his libs, and then put curly braces. You can now inside of this put different libraries, their minimum version what you need. So I need first SAP UI core, and I want its min version same as main library. So you can put all the dependency on your UI5 library here. No bootstrapping would be called, guys, because as you know, index.html, we are killing the dependency completely out of index.html file. So no bootstrapping would help you. You have to put all your dependencies right into manifest. Manifest and component.js is the starting point of your app. Remember this always. So you have to make sure that all your code comes inside of it. Then maybe I want a dependency on Usha, dependency on UI.layout library. So all that I wanted. So I had put all of them over here as a dependency of libraries. Clear, everyone? The dependency section on UI5 libraries. Very nice. So let's collapse it. Line number 50 I can start with. So I can start from here now. So after dependencies, we have something called models section. Perfect. This is what I wanted to come to. In models section, now you can create your models directly using declarative approach. You don't need to go and write the code for creating your model the way we've been doing. So let me show you creating quickly the I18N model. So I go to I18N model and just define this model. So I put the name of the model. So always you remember multiple model, if you want, you need to give a name for the model. So this is the name of the model. I'm just giving I18N. And now inside of this, I need to tell what type of model it is. Is it a JSON model or I18N? So anybody, which model we create for I18N? Which type of model is used in UI5 for I18N? Who will tell me? Anyone? Perfect answer. We use resource model, Minakshi. You are right. So sap.ui.model dot resource model. You remember earlier we used to put the code for this. Now there is no need to put the code for this actually. Okay, we can directly put them over here, and then it's settings, and just put curly braces, and inside of this settings here we will put the bundle name, and bundle name is from my fury.i18n, my namespace i18n folder dot i18n file. That's my bundle URL. Okay, bundle name basically. And now you will also create your OData model. Remember, guys, in all the Fury apps, OData model is default model. So if you want to put a default model, what name you will give to it? If you want to put a model as a default model at application level, what name you will give to it? Anyone? What name? No name. So that's why no name here, curly braces, and your model properties. Once again you come, and then if you are putting a OData model, then put data source. And you remember what data source name I have assigned? Anybody? Do you remember what data source name I have assigned to my OData model which I wanted to create? Go on the top, check this app section, and yes, you're right, Raji. So maybe I just come down and I'll show you here. This is the name we have defined for OData model, which will be created later point of time. So you can just copy this data source name and put it here. So system will now create a default model according to the OData service. Okay, now I want to also probably right now don't want to put this. Maybe I just comment out this piece, and I want to put this default model as my JSON model. So I say type, the one which we are creating for fruits, guys, that's what I'm putting here. SAP UI model JSON model, that's the class name. And now inside of this I want to put the properties for creating my JSON model. So let's go back to web IDE and see where we created this guy JSON model. I think I created inside of my component JS. Here it is. You see we created two models. One is with the name single, one is the default model, which is a JSON model using create fruit model method. So the option number one is also good. This option which I taught you, this is also standard if you want to create JSON model, or you can also create the model directly from manifest.json. Okay, so maybe I just want to show you creating this single wala model, or maybe you want to show you creating fruit model directly from manifest. So I'm commenting out this piece of code of creating the fruit model from the code. Okay, this option is also standard. You can of course use this option which I have used it here. However, you can also go ahead with my option of using manifest.json. So now I don't know where to put the path of my JSON. So how to create a model. So I can go back to UI5 SDK and check the section models, and you can see we have to put type, URI, settings, data source. Okay, so in the settings, object that pass the model constructor, URI, URL component array directly used to open the source library documentation. So I don't know, with this I'm not able to understand what setting to put to be able to link it to my JSON file. So maybe I just go to Google and quickly search for manifest JSON in UI5. Okay, and maybe I search for, yes, here's some example. So just go inside and search for JSON model, and you can see your data model name, type, and data source. Data source is nothing but the file name, file path. Okay, the file name which you want to put it. So this is what you have to put. And you see on the top data source they have also defined here. In the URI they have given the path of the JSON file completely. Clear? So this is the path. You can directly also put it, or you can create a data source and link them. Okay, two options. You can directly put the path as a URI, or you can also link them. Okay, you can link them, so you can directly put URI also. So let me just go and put the URI. So I put here URI where my data resides for this JSON. So come to web IDE, it's inside your model folder, local data fruits.json. So model local data fruits.json. So I say model local data fruits.json. That's the URI path for loading the data. System would automatically create a JSON model and set it as a default model for your application. What an amazing stuff manifest.json does. You don't have to create any object. Then last comes is the star of the day, which is nothing but your next section of this section. Okay, after models, so this is my model section. Sometimes it's tricky to edit it. Yeah, now I can. And in line number 63 I will now put the routing configuration. So first it starts with routing. Okay, and inside of this routing let's put config, and then put routes, which is an array, and then finally after the routes let's put targets. Okay, currently I'm keeping routes and target empty. I will demonstrate it in a minute. And now let's move on to config section, and here we will put different properties regarding your view type, view configuration, and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and put these properties related to the view type and stuff. So the first property comes is the router class property. which is fixed always, and the class router class name is SAP M routing dot router. That's the class name, guys. It's case sensitive, remember. Next property comes is view type. All my view types are XML view, so that's my view type. Then comes is view path, where all my view exist. System should know, right? It exists in your Fiori namespace dot view folder. And then comes is the control ID, in which you will be embedding all your views. So it's Ironman, which is the control ID. And if you remember yesterday's class, when we created app.view, inside this app view we have created a split app. This is going to contain all your views, isn't it? In this split app control, you have a master section and you have a details section. You have master pages aggregation and detail pages aggregation, in which you will be putting your main view here and you will be putting your detail view here. So this is the whole control, which is represented as split app, your Iron Man. So that's your parent control, guys, in which everything will be kept. That's the reason in manifest I'm putting control ID as Iron Man. Clear, everyone? Why did we put Iron Man over here? Hope it is clear with everyone. What is this router configuration is? This will be fed to the router when router is getting instantiated. Okay, clear? Now I am just going to validate this JSON. There's a parsing error. Very nice. You see, that's the beauty of JSON lint. It tells me there's something wrong, and definitely I think it's because of this guy data source. Right now, let's skip it and just say validate, and it's a valid JSON. Finally, I copy this JSON, come back and replace with the JSON which I created yesterday inside of manifest.json. Let me come, go to code editor, select everything and replace it, save it. We are done. Let me close everything. Just come here. You can also see descriptor editor is loading, which means your version is properly set. Everything has come. You see your libs have come, UI core, M shell, all that have come. You can see data sources, Spider-Man data sources. So service URL will be kept here later point of time. Okay, then comes is models. So you can see the default model is taking data from your JSON path. Yeah, URI is JSON. I18N model, this is your I18N model. Yeah, what is its URI? I didn't put it actually. URI also has to come here. So it's, I think we have given bundle names, that must be enough for I18N. And then comes his routing. So this is your routing configuration on the top. And then comes the navigation. Right now for cross app navigation purpose we use it. Right now we are not putting anything inside of this. Clear? Hope today it's clear, guys, how to write manifest.json. Again, remember, believe me, I don't remember also all the properties in line. Impossible for human to remember. But yes, I now know the sections, at least three sections we have it. In interview, nobody asks you to write this whole JSON. People will say, what is manifest.json? Simple answer, it is nothing but a JSON file which includes all the application relevant properties, dependencies, routing configuration, version information, different models which we want to create. Basically, overall complete functionality of the application will be driven by a declarative file which is manifest.json, feed it to the component.js. We linked it with the component.js. If I just go to component.js, you can see here it is linked. So manifest is, again, I would say, metadata of your application. It is also known as application descriptor file. Okay, so whatever I told now, it should be ideally there inside your notebook where you are preparing your learning material. Learn how to learn is important. Okay, how I learn, I'll share the secret with all of you. I always learn with a notebook and pen in my hand. Whenever I am opening something, I'm learning something, I always keep a notebook and pen with my hand. Something which is told by trainer or something which I learned quite easy and interesting, I note it down in my notebook. And if you come and visit my house, you will see piles of such notebooks of my learning since my engineering days till today. I have written hundreds, thousands, and thousands of pages. I can publish a book also out of it, and it makes it very easy for me because things which are written by your hand, your mind remembers it. That's what the human nature is. Things which is written by your hand, your mind remembers it. स्कूल में गुरुजी बोलते थे, उंगलियों को याद हो जाता है। जब हाथ से लिखोगे तो उंगलियों को याद हो जाएगा। योर फिंगर विल रिमेंबर व्हाट यू हैव रिटन। Your mind doesn't need to remember. Your fingers will remember what you have written inside a notebook. So if deploy this practice of learning, believe me, you will become better than Anubhav. I am a slow learner. If you are a fast learner, you will beat me easily. Easily you will beat me, but use the right technique of learning. Have a notebook and pen with you. People say, Anubhav, you are teaching so many concepts, I am unable to remember. How will you remember? Nobody can remember. It's a human nature. You need to have a notebook and pen with you and write every single thing which I'm teaching you, so that when you forget something, you can roll back to the page which you have written the concept onto, and you can refer it quite easily. And then you can carry this notebook in your interview. Before the interview, you just walk through this notebook which you have written, and then you can crack the interview quite easily. यार इंजीनियरिंग में 8 सब्जेक्ट पढ़ लेते थे 6 मंथ में. इन 6 मंथ ऑफ अ सेमेस्टर 8 सब्जेक्ट्स वी यूज टू लर्न, 4 laboratories, 2 mini project, 1 major project, 5 seminars. This much we have done in engineering days. What happened to you, man? What happened to you? कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड की हवा लग गई? कहाँ गई तुम्हारी लर्निंग? इंजीनियरिंग के टाइम पे हाउ मच यू यूज टू लर्न, and all that was so smooth. You still were able to manage sitting on dhaba and eating parathas, going out with the friends a lot, doing a lot of fun, dancing, music, everything, every single passion which you had used to follow that, in spite of having 8 subjects learned. And each subject has foreign author book, Indian author book, and other author book also. That also you were able to manage with multiple semester exams and multiple midterm tests, including that you were managing it. What happened to you, man? Come on. If you, it was you only who did all that, why you can't do this? Here you have only one subject, which is SAP UI5 at the moment. If you cannot do this, you are not that old charm student of engineering. Okay, let's come back. यहाँ तो पैसा भी मिल रहा है, वहां तो पैसा खर्च करना पड़ता था. Okay, okay, great. What's the best practice? Use code editor or descriptor editor? I would say code editor. Code editor is the best practice, because if you do that, you always going to get something better. Descriptor editor is after you have defined your first manifest JSON. You can use descriptor editor later point of time. It's giving an error here. Let me just highlight. There is a content density property which is missing. You can see content density is required in SAP UI5 section. So now I come here and just see content densities. You see here, I'll just check mark these two properties, save it, come back, and you see the error is gone. Yeah, and it has automatically added content density somewhere here, you see. So that's about your manifest.json. Let's go and execute it. Ideally it should create a router object. So for routing, we have gone to component.js. We have just did this .get router.initialize, which would go hit. What happens when this happens? It goes and check for manifest.json. From here it goes to manifest.json file, and inside of manifest.json file, it will just go and find your routing configuration. First of all, it finds this. With this, it will know which is the class to instantiate, what are all the types of views I have, what is the path of all the views which I want to instantiate, and in which control I have to go and put my views. Another interesting point, it goes and checks the root view details, which is the root view. Okay, so it goes and find this root view. What is the root view name, what is the type of the view, and ID of the view should be assigned. So these are all the properties router does. Let's go and execute our app, and voila. Do you do you see data coming up? Is this data coming up because of your code of JSON model? Anyone? Is this data coming up because of your code of JSON model created in JavaScript file? No, we deleted that, we commented out that code. If you come back and check component.js, see, I have commented out creating fruits.json, fruits model for JSON model. Why? How come it has set the fruit model? Anyone? How come it has got the fruits data, man? I have commented out my model creation for fruits JSON. How come it has got fruits data? Yes, from manifest, because we have defined a model in manifest as a default model, creating a JSON model of JSON from this file. So you see, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of UI5. It creates your model object automatically and set this model as a global model. Clear, everyone? The power of manifest, the power of component JS. And now let's go ahead and talk to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, what I am going to do is I am going to now also show you something. Just go and run it in another session, makes it easy for me to work. So this master page and this detail page, they both are coming because I have written sap.ui.view. Somewhere I've written this, creating the object of these views, right? Somewhere I've written this part. Somewhere I've written these parts. So I now have to come out of it. So what I do is I come back and you see, I'll go to my app controller and you see I have created them manually. Is this a good practice? Is this a standard practice? Creating view object yourself, is this the standard practice, guys? Anyone? Is this a standard practice? Creating the view yourself, is this a standard practice? Anyone? No. What is the standard practice? Who will tell me after all this learning? What is the standard practice? Who should create the object of your views? Anybody? Who should create object of your views? Would you create? No, manifest should create. Perfect answer. So let's give a talla. Talla means get rid of this code. Okay, talla is a typical desi word. Talla, I give a talla to this and it's gone. And now refresh your app, it won't work naturally. Of course it won't work. The reason is very simple, because now your view objects are not getting created. Let the router create your view objects now, isn't it? So I come back to our manifest.json and now we're going to get at the routing configuration. So watch here carefully. I am going to define here routing configuration. So first, what is a route? Route is every single navigation target. Okay, every single navigation target of your application is your route. So whenever you are working with a Fiori application, every single state of the UI is a route. So first state is I want to just load the master view. Okay, I don't want to load detail view, so that's my route number one. Next state of the application, when user select an item, I want to load then the detail view. That's my second route. Clear? That's why I'm defining two routes, guys. So first route, when I load the app initially, system should just display the master view, not detail view. When I select an item inside master view, it should then load my detail view. That's my routing routes. So first route, let's come and put here a couple of properties. First is the pattern property. What is the pattern property does? It, if you remember in our training blog, I showed you that every time you click on a section, it was changing the URL, isn't it? Do you remember that example, guys? When we were navigating, every time I was changing this, it was changing the endpoint, URL endpoint, isn't it? Do you all remember this or not? Yes or no? Anyone? Do you all remember whenever I'm changing this, it's actually changing my path? You see, endpoint is changing. This is the pattern. This is called pattern. The URL endpoint is your pattern. Okay, URL endpoint, what user see. Okay, what user see in URL is your endpoint or pattern. Clear, everyone? What is pattern inside of JSON? What is pattern? Pattern is nothing but what user see in the URL is the pattern. So pattern is nothing but what, I don't know how to comment out some piece of code here. What user sees in URL endpoint. This is also known as tag name, guys. Okay, also known as tag name. Remember, very specific word, tag name for Fiori. This is your pattern. So first, when I initially want to load, I would say pattern is blank. System will automatically call this route for pattern. Next comes is the name of the route. So I will just keep the name of the route as, let's say, master. Okay, and now after this you have to define target. What should load when you start this? What should load, guys, when you give this root? When somebody makes the pattern empty or somebody calls this root master, what should happen? I want to load Donald. I want to load Donald. This is my first routing configuration. Similarly, when user click on a list item, I want to load detail view. So I will give this as a detail, and I want to show user on the top Trump as a pattern, as a hashtag, as a tag name. I want to show user Trump in the target, and I want to load Donald and Trump. Donald for master, Trump for detail page. So let's define this target Donald and Trump at below in targets section. So first let's define Donald target, and then let's define Trump target. Okay, so in the Donald, what I will give is I will tell the system what to load and where to load, guys. It's so simple. What to load, where to load. What you want to load? Anyone who will tell me what you want to load? When your application starts, what you want to load? Anybody? Currently it's not loading anything. What do you want to load? You want to load main view, right? Where you want to load this main view? In which section you want to load this main view? Can you tell me in which section you want to load it? In master pages aggregation, guys. That's an aggregation name, master pages. Which control? This aggregation belongs to which control? Anybody? Which control? What is your control name? Split app. What is the ID of split app? What is the ID of split app? Anybody? What is the ID? Iron Man. Perfect answer. That's your router configuration. You have given this ID already on top. If you remember the main configuration, I'll just quickly show you. So you have given this ID already on the top in the config part of the router. You see Iron Man is already there. Now you just have to tell I want to load main view inside master pages aggregation when Donald is called. Okay, so what's your view name? The view name, sir, is main view. What is the aggregation? What is the aggregation name? Anybody? Where this main view should be loaded? Who will tell me? What is the aggregation name? Anyone? It's master pages of your split app. And then comes next is control view ID. What ID I want to assign to my view? I say ID main. That's it, guys. That's your first configuration for first application. Now who will tell me for Trump what will be the view name? Who will tell me what will be the view name for Trump? Anyone? What will be the view name? View 2. Perfect answer. What will be the aggregation? In which section you will be loading your view 2? Anybody? In which section? Detail pages aggregation. Right? And then let's give an ID view 2. Perfect. You're done, guys, with the routing configuration. Let's go ahead and test this JSON. There's a parsing error. Of course, it's because of this guy. I'll quickly remove it. Watch carefully now. I just validate again. Valid JSON. I just want this routing configuration routes and targets to be copied and keep it in my. So maybe I just copy internal sections of these routes. So I copy the routes, come to Web IDE, go to manifest, come down. I just put the routes here. Wow, routes have come. And now I just go back and put the targets, Donald and Trump target. Let's come here and put them over here. We are done. You see both Donald and Trump target are now available. Okay, clear everyone? Now let me launch my app, Fiori app. Let me launch my Fiori app, which is not loading anything at this moment. I just close this unwanted windows. They are like troubling me. Just closing all of them. Yeah, here it is. I press enter. What is right now the end point? Do you see in any extra end point of your page at the moment? There is no end point, right? No, these are not endpoints. These are URL parameters. So after the URL, there is no endpoint. There is no hashtag. Do you see any hash information? No, no hashtag, which means it will go and hit which route? Which route it will go and hit if there is no endpoint pattern? See, pattern is blank. When there is no hashtag at the end, it's by default going to call this root. So let's come here, press enter. It's going to load the master view. Voila, you see it loaded the master view. But when I click, it won't load the detail view now because it's managed by router. Okay guys, it's managed by router. So what do we do? What is the hashtag for loading the detail view along with master view? What is the hashtag for loading both the detail view and master view? Anybody? What is the hashtag for loading the detail and master view? What is the hashtag of loading the detail and master view? What is the hashtag of loading the detail and master view? What is the hashtag of loading the detail and master view? Yes, it's Trump. T is capital, that's the pattern. So put this endpoint Trump, go on the top, put hashtag Trump, press enter. Voila, your detail view also got loaded. Congratulations, you have learned routing concept with hashtag, guys. You see the power of hashtag. If I remove it, and you see detail view is gone. If I put this, detail view comes. But the problem, can you tell me the problem with this approach? Who will tell me the problem with this approach? Your end user. Do you tell your end user to put hashtag? Will you go and tell your end user to put hashtag? Of course not. What will you do? What should be done ideally as an end user? What would end user do? Anybody? Come on guys. I am not asking technical question. What would end user do? What would end user do? What navigation it will do? This navigation. Click where it will click. Where it will click? Hawa mein. Where will the end user click? Where will end user click? Come on guys, items. Yes, user click here, and on click of this I want to load my Trump target. I want to load my detail view, and that's managed by router. So let's see how to achieve that. For that, now I go to my main controller. I first obtain the router object. So watch carefully the syntax to load router object, which was initialized in component JS. So for that you say var or router. You can also set it as a global variable. You can say this dot o router. Okay, and you can say sap dot ui. I forgot the syntax. So there is a syntax to load the router object, and let me just recall that. It's I think sap.ui.core.ui component. No, not this router. Let me just debug this and remember. So I put a debugger. I forgot. No problem. Let's put a debugger. Let's come back, press F12. Let the debugger hit. Yes. And then I'll just put it here. This dot get owner component dot get router. Yes, this is the code, guys, to get the router object. This dot get owner component dot get router, that gives you the router object inside of it. So just set it as a global variable. This dot o router. This is the code to get the router object from your component.js. Get owner component gives you component.js object, and from there you get the router object. And now use this router object on click of a list item. Whenever item press happens, okay, whenever item press is happening, load the second view. Come down and just tell the router to navigate, nav to, and then here inside just put the name of the root. What's the name of the root? Not the pattern, guys. I'm not asking pattern. So the pattern name is Trump T capital. The name of the root is this guy is the name of the root. What's the name of the root here for this case? It's detail. Put this name of the root inside navigation path. We are done. Router will do the instantiation of your second view, and router will also load the second view, and then your view object is created and instantiated, guys. Congratulations. Let's come back, let's refresh one more time, and now ready to experience. I click on plum, and voila, it has loaded the data. It has loaded, and watch carefully on the top. Can you see the root endpoint. Can you see the URL endpoint, guys? Can you see the URL endpoint? Anybody, do you see the URL endpoint? Yes. The beauty of this browser keeps an history of this now automatically. Now my browser back and forth button will work, guys. My browser back and forth button will work. If I say forward now, it will go back to Trump. See, my browser back and forth button is working now, which was not possible in Webdin Pro, guys. Now it's working because I have completely managed it via router. That's the beauty. That's the feature which router gives you. Clear, everyone? What is the power of router? Point one, you don't have to create object of your view on your own now. Point two, it gives every single screen as a state. Okay, it gives a state to the screen. Browser back and forth button will work also with that. Now going to the next level, I first select plum, then I select mangoes, and then I select jamun. When I click on back button, what should happen, anyone? What should happen when I click on back button? I first selected plum, then I selected mangoes, and then I selected jamun. When I click on back button, what should happen, anyone? Ideally, it should go to my previously selected record. If I again press back button, it should then go to previously selected record. And if I say forward button, it should go back to the mango. If I again say forward button, it should go back to the jamun, isn't it? Shouldn't that be the flow of back and forward button of the browser? Shouldn't that be the flow, guys, from end user point of view? If you are the end user, shouldn't that happen? Yes. How do we achieve that? So currently it won't work that way. So if I say back, it's taking you just back to the previous state of the UI, which was actually the master page. So if I say plum, Alfonso, and Jamun, and if I say back, it doesn't take me back to the Alfonso or mangoes. Okay, it is not doing it. For that, we will see route match handler concept in next class, which will also fulfill this need of navigating from one item to another item. That will also work with the browser back and forth and navigation completely. It will work, guys, with that also. Okay, that's something which we will discuss in next class. Every single navigation, remember the golden rule, that's a funda fox. Every single navigation, every single state of the UI has to be a new route. Okay, every single state of UI has to be a route. Okay, every single state of the UI has to be have a route path, guys. This is the most important point. Most important point. Clear, everyone? It has to be a route path. There has to be a route path, guys. Very important. Fine? Clear? Is that clear to everyone? This is the golden rule. At least remember this for tomorrow's class, because this is going to do everything for us. Clear? So with that, it's a wrap on today's class. We are done and see you tomorrow. Hope you like the concept of manifest.json, me writing every single line of code. I always promise that never copy paste the code, and that's what I should also fulfill. And then you can create, of course, your manifest today yourself. Try to put the router configuration, that's more important. And tomorrow's class will see this navigation from one item to another item using back and forth. Clear? So with that, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Goodbye.